Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Happy New Year for all those listening, getting ready to listen and getting ready to jump into 2018. So I will get started in just a couple of minutes. Just a few things to remind everybody. If you are listening to us on the radio, it is Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 Pacific Daylight Time. You could tune in at KDOW 1220 AM if you want to listen to us online. If you're out of the reach of the radio signal, you could go online, or if it's just more convenient, go to kdow.biz. You can listen to the show that way by just clicking on the button that says Listen Live. And then also we're always streaming live on Facebook, so thank you for those that follow us on Facebook. Appreciate the feedback, the comments, the emails, the back and forth questions that you have during the show and after the show. So keep doing that. Appreciate those that are following us on Facebook. You could do that live again every day unless something's going on technically, or we'll be with you that way. Lastly, be sure to download the podcast. That is a backup and the number one feature to be able to catch the shows at your time, your convenience, when it's convenient for you. You could go to reradiolive.com and download there, or you could also go to you go to iTunes and download the podcast from iTunes or any of those places, Stitcher. Just go to Google and enter Real Estate Radio Live. You'll be able to find it anywhere. Pretty simple online. It's reradiolive.com for the website. As we kick off the 2018 season, it's hard to say that. 2018, it is here and is it upon us. So the big questions are, what's going to happen in 2018? Before I jump into those, just a couple of side notes here. Number one, during the show, remember, if you want to call, if you have any questions during the live show, it's 1-800-516-1220. And if you want to reach me, if you're listening to this via podcast, if you want to reach me any other way during the show, after the show, the best number is 408-838-9060. A couple exciting announcements for you coming. Again, you'll hear it over the next several weeks, starting next Monday, the 8th. Every single Monday, we'll have Investment Monday. What that means is we'll have Charlie Castro. He'll be doing the show on Mondays, showcasing investment opportunities outside of California, specifically in the United States. A lot of you have made the request over the years that you really want to be educated more and find out about more opportunities to buy property outside of California for cash flow, for opportunities, maybe some for fix and flip, those type of things. Charlie's going to be a great candidate to be able to provide you with the education information and actually inventory. His company supplies the inventory of this housing that if you want to buy real estate outside of California, he's going to enlighten you on where to buy it, how to buy it, and the opportunities that come up. And you're going to be surprised at the different price points and the opportunity for those people that really want to buy real estate. And that could be buying it outright. That could be buying it fix and flip. And then some people, one of the most popular things that I think that'll be going on in 2018 and 2019, in my opinion, will be a big push for people to look to selling their properties, not all of them, but selling a certain amount of properties in California. These are rental properties, and 1031 exchanging into properties that has some bigger growth potential over the next 5 to 10 years in other states. Some of you might hear that and go, are you crazy, Joe? There's not a better growth potential than California and certainly Silicon Valley. Well, we'll see. Let's take yourself back to 2008 and 2009 and remember what happened. And I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but a lot of people, what they do is they take their gains off the table, unlike not any different than the stock market. A lot of people, when they make, accelerated or large gains in real estate, they'll sell some of the assets, some of the real estate, 1031 into even more properties outside the state, not necessarily looking for more equity growth as much as they could leverage the growth that took place here in California. Think about it. If you had $1 million, let's say you just had 4 or 5 properties and they were rental properties. And over the last 5 or 6, 7 years, you had $1 million of growth in equity growth in those properties. Let's just say $1 million of appreciation in those properties over the last 5 to 7 years. And there's a lot of people that think that, we're going to look for some stable growth. We may have another 2 or 3 years in this market. It doesn't mean it's going to come collapsing down as much as it means there could be some leveling and maybe some slight declines. No one really knows, but if you follow this and you're a smart investor that likes to be diversified, I think it's a great idea. I know a lot of people that are really starting to look 2018, 2019, selling some properties here in California, taking that equity run that we had the last 5 to 7 years and go double downing on something else. So imagine if you took an additional $1 million in equity and you took that $1 million plus whatever you had and you 1031'd into, I don't know, an apartment complex, a commercial building, a huge 30, 40, 100, 20 unit apartment complex, or you bought 56 units in North Carolina and Detroit or Florida. I don't know. I'm giving you some examples. What I'm saying is there's a lot of strategical moves that will be taking place in the next couple of years, I believe. And remember, I study this stuff every day. I interview people every day. I research every single day. There's a lot of stuff going on in the industry. And it's my job to stay on top of that and pass that on to you, the consumer, and the people that follow the show. I'm simply saying, if you have real estate that you've had some great gains, and I'm not talking about your primary residence. I'm talking about if you have investment properties here and you've realized some incredible gains over the last 5 to 7 years, you might want to take a look at a strategy of selling some of those properties and 1031 into different areas and maximizing your growth. There's a lot of people that, I'm not a big believer in the market timing. I know a lot of people will try to time the stock market. They'll try to time the real estate market. I would say the stock market's a lot more difficult to time than the real estate market. You get a little easier, not so easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think you might have a little easier time trying to better job at timing a real estate market than you would a stock market. Sometimes they go hand in hand, but I do think, as you're always hearing me talking about, doing a continual, really a review of your real estate and your mortgage and what's the next step and what are your holdings for 2018 and what's the plan for 2019. A lot of people that follow this will continue to do some looking at the potential to do some real estate transactions in the next couple of years. Well, here's the good news. If you have a big movement of people selling property here, investment property, and 1031ing elsewhere, that really helps everybody. It helps you, the potential client, consumer that wants to take some of that money off the table and go reinvest into maybe more property or more units elsewhere. And again, not necessarily for equity growth as much as you would for cash flow potentially. I've said this before, if you could, I don't know what your properties are doing here, but I've given examples for this. If you could buy 15 to 20 properties, and some of these properties you could buy for 30, 40, 50, 60,000 each, and get somewhere between $700 and $800 a month. Cash flow. Do the math on that. $700 or $800 a month times 15 properties. That's a lot of money each month that you would have disposable income that's coming in. if you make some of the decisions for these transactions. And that, again, it will depend on what you hold here, what the cash flow here. A lot of different factors go into that. I realize that, but there's some things to think about. So Charlie Castro will be with us every Monday, starting next Monday, talking a little bit about this. The focus every single Monday will be Investment Monday. We're going to call it with Real Estate Radio Live, which means you're going to be able to call in, email, ask questions about investment, where to invest, how to invest, when should I invest, what cities should I invest in. Charlie's the expert in this area, and he'll be able to help you guys out with anybody that has any questions about this at all. And he'll be coming each Monday. All right, so what I'm going to do is the next couple segments. We have 3 segments left. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple other predictions for 2018 in the housing market. I might have covered last week or 2 weeks before we left on vacation, but I'm going to pick up and I'm going to cover a couple of those. I'm going to follow up and finish up on some of the predictions for 2018. Then I'm going to go over some details. We got some more clarity on the tax plan and how it affected the housing market and the mortgage market. So I'm going to grab that document during the break. I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk a little bit about the tax plan and get more specifics for those that are really keeping an eye on what kind of changes or what might be coming for them in terms of taxes. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. If you're following us on Facebook, stay with us. We're going to take a couple-minute break on the live show, and we're going to come back with you. If you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220. I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Happy New Year. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We're back with you for 2018, 8 years running now. This is our 8th year. Proud to be doing this show and to providing consumers with education information every single day, Monday through Friday. We'll continue doing that on the live show and also the podcast. Be sure to download the podcast go to iTunes and type in Real Estate Radio Live, or you go to our website, reradiolive.com, and get the podcast there as well. All right, I'm going to, in this segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about the tax reform law. And what I'm going to do is a little bit of a current law versus proposed. And this is specifically to the housing and mortgage interest, really. It's not, this is obviously a huge plan, tax plan and adjustments in many different areas, personally, for people, for corporations, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to go through some of the stuff that is going to affect more people, specifically on the housing and the mortgage side. And I'm going to read from this chart here that I think they did a good job at kind of trying to simplify the things that came down the pike here for the tax reform in 2018. So the first one is the mortgage interest deduction, and that is that was capped. The current law was capped at $1 million. And the proposed that goes into place now, which we think is going, unless something changes, is $750,000. So again, on your primary residence, the current law, the one prior to 2018, was $1 million. And what I mean by that is you're able to write off up to $1 million of loans on your primary residence or secondary residence. 100% of that interest you're able to write off each year on your taxes. And now that has changed to $750,000 instead of $1 million. So that's on the downside of $250,000 downward, and not benefiting those that have a mortgages over $750,000. State and local tax deduction was unlimited before, and this is a big one for a lot of people too. State and local tax deduction currently, or I should say before 2018, limited. So if you had $15,000, $16,000, $20,000, if you paid $10 million for your house, you're able to write off all of that. The new law, the total of income, sales, and property tax deductions is capped at $10,000. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for people that have bought expensive homes. I mean, literally, if you look at some of the areas where your tax assessments, 1 1/8, 1 1/4% of your purchase amount, just do some quick math, which means if you purchased a home, $850,000, $900,000, anything over that amount, you're paying more than $10,000 a year in property taxes. You are. So with that being said, $10,000, that's the cap, which means now you no longer have tax benefits on property tax deductions, sales and property tax deductions. It's capped at $10,000. So that's going to affect some people for sure. The next one is the capital gains exemption on sale of primary residence. The prior tax law was exclusion up to $250,000, $500,000 if you're married, of gain realized on sale or exchange of a principal residence if lived in for 2 of the last 5 years. So no change there. As far as what we're seeing, no change. That there was some language in the bill that was supposed to change that, but apparently it came back and they did not. So there's no change in that. Okay, next, 1031 like-kind exchanges. Prior to January 1, applied to all classes of property, whether it be personal or real. The new law in 2018 limits non-recognition of gain to real property. Non-recognition. Limits non-recognition of gain to real property. All right, on the personal deduction, that's interesting. Provisions of interest to real estate professionals. This is kind of in our industry. I'm not sure quite what they mean by personal deduction. So they're saying prior to it was allowed and now it's been eliminated. Standard deduction. This would have been prior to 2018, prior to the change. $6,350 individual and $12,700 if married. And so they're stating here that the new law, proposed law, the new one went into effect January 2018, $12,000 individual and $24,000 if married. That's a big jump. That's a big jump. Again, $12,000 individual, $24,000 if married. Second homes, we already covered that. The interest write-off is capped at $750, so that's no different. So this is the interesting one that we wanted to double check on a couple of weeks ago that I'm glad we got some clarity on. And this is going to affect a lot of people. So home equity loan deduction. Prior to, it was capped at $100,000. In other words, if you had, and I think people got away with this quite honestly. I'll say this on the air. Why not? Most people, this is saying the prior law before January 2018 was that people were only able to write off $100,000 on their home equity line. I mean, I was told by a lot of people they got more than that, but who knows? I don't really know. So here's the bottom line. This question has come up a lot in the last 30 days. So here it is. prior to allowed $100,000 on a home equity line to take advantage and write off the interest on that. The new one, zero, zero. So what does that mean? If I read it correctly, if I understand it correctly, that means if prior to this, December 15th, if you had a home equity line, then you're good up to $100,000. You could still write that off. After that, if you open a home equity line, it doesn't matter what you owe on your first. Doesn't matter what you owe on your first, your second is not going to be tax deductible according to this. This is interesting. This is going to affect a lot of people, and I knew it would. If you're listening to this show or the podcast and you have an outstanding equity line, you might want to take a look at that. Or if you're about ready to get an equity line, you might want to think twice about that. Here's what's going to happen. Now, instead of people getting equity lines, what they're going to be doing is doing a cash out refinance and just putting it right back on their first. Does that make sense? So if you're out there, and for those big fans of home equity, first of all, I like home equity lines. I like the idea of having there just in case of an emergency. You need to do something quickly with money. It's good. I mean, it's good to have. I'm a big believer in those. Here's the problem. When you carry a balance, now it's going to be a problem for some people. So here's what I see a lot of that's going to be taking place. Instead of people taking out home equity lines for remodeling, add-ons for different things, now what you're not going to be forced to do, but I think what you'll probably end up doing when you're looking at both cases is, let's say you have a loan for, let's just say $400,000 on your house and you need $300,000 for a remodel. Now, instead of putting that $300,000 on an equity line, you're probably going to come to someone like me and just do a cash out refinance, get a loan for $700,000 on your property. That way you have it on the first lien on your property, and it enables you to take full advantage, 100% advantage of that tax interest write-off. So this is going to be a big deal. For those that have equity lines, give me a call if you have any questions, and we could talk through this one way or another. That's one of the biggest change I think will take place. All right, we're going to take another break. When I come back, I'm going to finish up on the tax chart here real quickly, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the housing predictions for 2018. 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions, give me a call. Otherwise, I'll be back with you for the live show in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera of Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We are your go-to resource for all aspects of real estate, including buying, selling, refinancing, building, and legal and tax advice, and much more. You can subscribe to Real Estate Radio Live podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to listen to an engaging discussion about anything and everything real estate. So make sure you get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store to follow the show.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We are the only 5-day-a-week live real estate related show in the entire Bay Area. Proud of that. Continue to bring the information and education to you, the consumer, every single day via the live show in the entire Bay Area. Watching us online, you could do that too. More importantly, download the podcast. That way you could follow the show, listen to the show anywhere you'd like. Go to iTunes, type in Real Estate Radio Live, or go to our website, RERadiolive.com, and you could get the podcast that way as well. Some new exciting things going on in 2018. Keep your ears and eyes open. There'll be some big announcements coming. One is the fact we've already talked about. We have Investors Monday that's coming starting next Monday. Every single Monday, we'll bring you investment-specific information on real estate. And then coming towards the end of the month, hopefully, or worst case into February, we're going to have, if everything goes well, we will have Legal Fridays, which means We will bring legal information to you, the consumer. A great, great talent and co-host for Real Estate Radio Live. We hope to make some specific announcements in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned for some exciting information coming in the real estate and mortgage market and some of the evolutions that are changing and how the consumers interact, how consumers buy and sell real estate. There's going to be some big announcements coming in the next 30 days about that as well. Stay tuned. Don't lose sight of the information. Don't lose sight of what's going on and how you could benefit as the consumer. So stick with the show. Download the podcast. Contact us with the information. But we're going to have some exciting new announcements coming in the next 30 days you're not going to want to miss. All right, let's jump back in and talk a little bit about some of the tax laws that changed. Let me pick back up on this. The last thing I'll say real quickly, home equity line, which I think is going to affect a lot of people, and then I'll move along. If you have a home equity line out there and you're not sure what to do, give me a call, check in. We could take a look at that. If you're thinking about getting a home equity line, give me a call and understand this, and let's talk about why you need it, why you need the money. Here's the reason why, is because home equity lines are not going to be tax deductible anymore. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. Some people would say, well, not really, because it was only $100,000. But you know, it's still, let me tell you why it's a big deal. Because a lot of people are carrying balances of over $100,000. So now there's zero tax deductions. So now if you go to do a $300,000 remodel or add-on, and you put that on an equity line, zip, zero. You're going to get no tax benefits from that interest. On the other hand, if you roll that into a first loan and you keep it at $750,000 or less, you're going to get 100%. That's right, 100% tax deductions on that up to $750,000, where you're going to get zero on your equity line. So be careful with that. If you have any questions, let me know. You can always reach me 408-838-9060. All right, so the next one, child tax credit. Up until January 2018, it was $1,000 per child. Now it's $2,000 per child. That seems like an additional benefit to me. Depending how you look at this, a lot of people, no matter what side of the aisle you are, that you are on, when you look at a lot of this stuff related to housing, this is pretty positive. I mean, the standard deductions going from $6,350 for individual to and $12,000 if you're married, to $12,000 individual and $24,000 if married. That's not a negative. It's a positive. The mortgage interest is a negative. Capping the property tax is a negative. Messing with the home equity line is a negative. And I'll point those out too, but some of the positives are here as well. All right, the tax rate reduction for qualified business income of a pass-through. This is the one that's interesting. That I think as people start understanding this, they may take advantage of and see how they could seek out some additional benefits from this. So prior to January 2018, the tax rate reduction for qualified business income of pass-through entities was zero, none, no benefit. Now, January 2018 rolls along. Guess what? A 20% deduction of taxable income phased out above $157,000, $315,000 if married for brokerage services. Interesting. So I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax expert, so I'm not going to unpack that one and try to get into details for you because I'm not a tax expert. But I would definitely check with your CPA and find out what that's going to mean or what that can mean for you if you could get that deduction and you could get that pass through and up those price at those points. So it's kind of interesting. I think some people will be looking at that for sure. Real quickly, depreciation recovery, a period of real property. So residential rental, the recovery period was prior to 27 and a half years. There's no change to that. There was a depreciation recovery period for real estate that's non-residential. The recovery period was 39 years. No change to that. And then lastly, there was a depreciation recovery period for real estate. That's leasehold improvements. And the recovery period was 15 years for that, and now no change at all. So those last three, no change. And so you have some significant changes here. Some you have none, and some you have some significant changes. So as always, double check with your CPA. If I were you out there listening to this show, following this show, one of the biggest pieces of advice I'd give you, if you have any major changes in your properties, I would sit down with your CPA and figure out what it means, how you could benefit. There are going to be some people that are potentially looking at holding real estate, maybe in an LLC or a corporation. There could be some benefits to that. Each situation is different. I would definitely contact your CPA or tax expert and find out, find out how, if anything, you could benefit maybe from some of these things some of these laws that are changing, because you want to be able to take advantage of the ones that you can, because let's face it, there's some of these tax changes that came into place for some of us. They're going to create a negative. Does that make sense? So, for instance, if you bought a house for $1 and you have a loan for, let's say, $1 million, and you bought a property for $3 million, and your property tax is, $20,000 a year, whatever the number is. My point is, you now have a max cap of $750,000 on your mortgage. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And then you have now a $10,000 max cap on property taxes. So for people that have those that have capped out, and now that's having a negative effect on you, you especially should look at, okay, over here in bucket A and B, I'm in the negative category now. So can I look at bucket C and D, and maybe I can make some changes tax-wise to bucket C and D so that I could either offset or recover some of the lack of benefits I'm not getting any longer in buckets A and B. Hopefully that makes sense. And for some people that might be, well, maybe the exemptions are better. Maybe it might be I'll hold real estate in an LLC or corporation, and with the pass-through or maybe some tax benefits, I could, see some benefits there. For some people, it might be, instead of holding an equity line or opening a home equity line, I will, what I'm going to do is roll that into the first loan and make sure that I get my tax deductions for that. So a lot of different concepts, a lot of different things to think about when it comes to these tax changes and the benefits. I didn't have plans to talk about this in today's show, but I wanted to jump in. The title did not talk about, so I apologize for those that are listening for some checking in for some other reasons. These allergies are getting me the first time of the year here. So I apologize for those that are listening to the show, maybe looking for some specific information, maybe the difference in the title. But I felt it was important to jump in and talk a little bit about some of these tax laws that are changing, because I've been getting a lot of feedback, a lot of emails, questions, calls about some of the tax laws that have been changing and how it might affect people. So I jumped in and threw that in our topic today. So we're gonna take a break here in a minute or so, and then we have one more segment before we wrap things up. So what I'm going to do is, when I come back, I'm going to talk about some of the other predictions I have for 2018 on the housing market. I'm not going to have time today in the show to talk a little bit about one of the topics I wanted to address today, and that was, why is it that the real estate industry and the mortgage industry are not reinvesting enough money into improving the customer experience? So I did some research on that. I'm gonna probably do that show tomorrow. That is the question I'll throw out there, is why is it that with all the money made, the National Association of Realtors and the mortgage industry, the National Association of Mortgage Bankers, we could go on and on. I'm going to talk about Fannie and Freddie too. You won't believe how much money Fannie and Freddie make, and I'm going to break it down for you tomorrow. You will be surprised. And that begs the question, why aren't they reinvesting in improving the customer experience? That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. All right, quick break. I'm going to come back and talk about some of the predictions for 2018. 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions, I'll be back with you to finish up in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live as we wind down the show. Again, welcome into 2018. We have an exciting, big, exciting year for you, the listeners, the followers of Real Estate Radio Live. Stay tuned. There will be some exciting information in the next 30 days that will benefit you, the consumer. As you know, if you've been listening to the show and follow me, I am a big fan of being proactive in what we could do for not only ourselves but our consumers, being on the cutting edge. What are some of the things that we have to do as an industry to step up our game and use technology and really offer consumers a better option for buying and selling real estate and financing real estate? And we're going to do that. So we're part of a team that's going to be doing that. We're going to be making some announcements, sharing with you in the next 30 days. Stay tuned. And we're super, super excited about bringing this to you, the consumer. Remember, this is in the works for 8 years. For the last 8 years, I've had over 1,300 interviews. I have talked to over 1,200 consumers. I've gathered data, information, research that all points in a certain direction. The direction is this industry is behind the eight ball when it comes to making the changes they need to make to satisfy the consumer. They just are. So what do we do about that? Do we sit around? Do we wait? Or do we let others jump ahead? Or if we are leaders and if we have groups of people that really believe that we have something to offer, do we put that together and bring it to the marketplace? I say we put it together and bring it to the marketplace, and that's what we're doing. So stay tuned for that, and we're going to be excited to make some announcements in the next 30 days. All right, so in the last couple minutes of the show, some of the predictions I didn't really get to before we left on a break a week or so ago, and that is I wanted to really drill down and specifically talk a little bit about the inventory. I believe we're going to be faced with some of the same stuff. I do think that year over year, as we look at 2018, I do think we will have more inventory on the market than we did in 2017. I think there's some promise there, but not a whole lot more. I really don't. And because of that, I think that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we're looking at least another 2 or 3 years of this kind of market. And what I mean by that is I think we're looking at another 2 or 3 years of low inventory, stiff competition, extremely tough buyer's market, and some appreciation levels that are still going to continue to tick up. Will they tick up in the big ways? I don't think so, but I still think we could see 3, 4, 5, 6%, and sometimes even as much as 10% in some markets, even with some run-ups. I really do. I know that sounds crazy, but the reason why is because of all the factors. Rates are going to go up this year. I'm pretty sure of that. I really am. How much? I would say about 0.5%. If I'm putting my prediction out there. So not a huge amount, but enough to make a difference for some people. I don't think it's going to be enough because of the way the market is. I really don't. Now, if we had millions of homes available for sale in the Bay Area and it was a huge, wide open, area where you had your pick to pick from, wherever you had, thousands and thousands of homes on the market, then I'd say interest rates may have a little more of an effect. But they won't, because unfortunately there's not enough inventory out there to dictate a stronger market on the buy side. So we're going to be faced with that. So here's what I want to talk to specifically, because these are the people that I feel bad for, and they're really this market challenges, and it's frustrating because I wish it was different, but it isn't. So I'm a big proponent of, if you have a problem, find a solution. Don't spend a whole lot of time talking and worrying about and babbling about the problem. Let's find a solution. So for those first-time home buyers, I know it's tough. And even for move-up buyers, depending on what your price range is, I know it's tough. It really is. Here's what I would say to both of you, though, first-time and move-up. Don't wait. Don't wait unless you absolutely have to. And what I mean by that is, if I could sit here and tell you first-time home buyers that, hey, hang on, because 2 or 3 years from now, or 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, you're going to go into a great market and you're going to get so much more for your money. There's going to be a ton of opportunity. There's going to be all kinds of inventory. If I could sit here and say that, then I'd say different, but I can't say that. So I'm telling you, first-time home buyers, get out there and seriously get into something. Get into a one-bedroom condo. Get into a high-rise. Get into something that maybe you don't want to get into, but you need to make that first move. And it's not a desperation plea as much as it is an honest assessment of what's going on. If you're a first-time home buyer, there's not going to be any relief in the next couple of years if you want to stay in the Bay Area. So you either go out of the Bay Area, like some people are doing, and moving to Tracy, Central Valley, maybe some of these areas down into Gilroy, maybe outside, even as far as Vallejo and some of these places. If you want more affordable housing, that's what you're going to have to do. But if you want to stay here because of the resources, you're really going to have to buy something probably that you don't really want if you really want to get into the market. And that's what my recommendation would be. My recommendation would not be to wait. Because if you wait, there's no guarantee to anything. But if you look at the models and what's going on with the data and the statistics, if you wait, let's just say you waited. And let's just say we had modest gains the next 2 years of 3 and 4% each. That house is going to be more expensive, number one, ladies and gentlemen, and the rates are going to be higher. It's tough. I'm not saying it's easy. It's tough. All right, we're going to have to duck out today, but tomorrow, again, tune in for tomorrow, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the money that's made in our industry and how come we're not investing more money to improve the customer experience. And did you know how much money Fannie and Freddie made? And do you know how much they make per employee? I'm going to have that for you tomorrow. Check in. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.